Hello, everyone. This is Donnie Moten again. Today, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Brian Poole. Brian and I shared time in the military late in our careers, but one of the things that my lovely bride is most happy about, Brian was my oldest boy, DJ's first senior leader. If his dad couldn't be there, the next best thing was Brian Poole. As the senior enlisted guy in the 48th Brigade, I always would try to check the pulse of all the organizations. And I kept hearing about this young platoon sergeant who the young kids would migrate to because he was a problem solver. Nothing made my heart grow more with pride than to know that I had a good man watching over our oldest boy. And so I'm indebted to you, Brian, for that. One thing I want to share with you. When I was retiring from the Army, Brian was a first sergeant. He came to a social we were having at our house. And I remember the very kind things he said to me. He said, "Hey, Sergeant Major, I really appreciate you looking after me and my soldiers." And it was a pleasure to do that for such a good leader as you, Brian. And so I'm very excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yes, honor mine.
Now, please tell me a little bit about yourself.
I think you kind of told the story. I joined the military done at a very young age. It was interesting is that I graduated on a Friday from high school and was on the bus for basic training that Sunday. So really only had like 1 day of civilian life. So I went and served 21 and a half years in the military. So I always want to take my skills from the military and test myself in the private sector. Not that I didn't like the military, but the military taught me so much, and I want to see, can I utilize that skill in the private sector? So I did that, and now I'm currently an HR manager with Amazon, probably managing sometime anywhere between 90 people global. So that military global experience really helped me in the corporate global experience. And I have settled down in the outskirts of Arizona and in the desert, so I'm just enjoying life now, Donna. I had a very interesting early life, Donna. I grew up in a small town, probably about an hour east of Jackson, Mississippi, called New Mississippi. And it's like everyone raised me. I was raised by my grandparents because my mother gave birth to me at a very young age. But even my aunts and uncles was like my sisters and brothers. So I think everybody had a hand in raising me in the upbringing. They was very active in the church community. They was very active in the community. And it seems like it kind of taught me the value of helping each other. If my father had a home project, he didn't have to hire a contractor. Somebody know how to do it, and the whole community would come and do those little things like put a new roof on the house. And they would have a cookout and a barbecue. So that was kind of my upbringing, that if something needed to be done, everybody got involved in that community and did it for someone.
Wow. It sounds like a great place to grow up, for sure.
Yes.
I'm really curious to hear about high school, though. What was Brian Poole like in high school?
Oh my God, Daddy. I was the athletic, smart class clown.
All together, huh?
Yes, all together. So I was an athlete with a big head. I was the class clown, and I also was in high academics. I traveled to Florida to be in quiz bowls to compete against other academic minds in the country. And there was a pride of us coming from Mississippi when they think we got low education level, that, hey, we are the exception, not the norm, that come out of Mississippi. So I was big at academics and also athletics at the same time, and sprinkling on the class clown. So it was a very unique experience in high school.
Did you ever think about being an officer?
I was the only one in my family that joined the military, so I had no military experience to talk to about being an officer. And then I was a commander driver, and a true story. And he want to endorse me to go to OCS. But in the meantime, I went to PLDC, and I learned so much. And after graduating from PLDC, my basic leadership course in leadership, I decided the NCO ranks is where I want to go to.
Yeah, I like the resolution that you made. Good for
Yes,
you.
yes.
So when did you know you wanted to stay 20 years in the Army?
I think on my second enlistment, right? It take a long time to get a degree in the military. In those days, you might take a couple of courses here, a couple of courses there, but I always said degree don't have no from and through date.
That's right.
So once I hit about 8 or 9 years and still haven't quite completed my bachelor degree yet, I know at the time I probably need to do 20. It's a financial advantage for me to do 20,
Yeah.
then just do those 10 years and don't have anything, financial wise to help me support me after those 10 years, So at least I have a pension and stuff at 20 years and I had my education. So
you had a
that,
plan.
I had a plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine that. Brian
Yeah.
Poole with a
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
Early days in the military. What were
Yes.
they like?
Oh my God, Donnie. I started out as field artillery, right? And I think I got in trouble in the past, not UCMJ trouble, but trouble with my young sergeants because I always want to know why. And I think in the early days in the military, especially in the early 90s, they think you question their authority, but I just want to learn. I always, concentrate on not the what, but the why. And then the why you can make things better. So my early days, I got promoted quick because I was so driven, but I kind of got, put at parade rest a lot because I want to know why, because I want to find better ways of doing things.
Yes.
And then they start pulling me in the training room. And then they said, hey, our NBC guy got in trouble. He's not going to be around, but we got this big inspection. Can you learn how to run the NBC room to get us through this inspection? And that what got me in the chemical field, because they needed me, I guess you said, to solve a problem. And I was like a young specialist at the time, in the artillery unit.
So did you just do one tour with the FA and then you re-enlisted to be chemical?
Well, actually, I changed my MOS without a re-enlistment. We had no in and out calls, and chemicals was short, and artillery was over strength. So I did it through that method.
So let's talk about something near and dear to both of our hearts. What makes a good leader?
Somebody asked me that question years ago, right? I was in a Fortune 500 company. I would not say the name of the company, and I applied for a high position, right? And I didn't get it, right? And some of my feedback said, "Hey, the hiring manager said you have great military leadership." So I asked the recruiter, "What do you mean by that?" Because leadership is leadership. The military, where I displayed the leadership at, there's no difference, right? But I think the two things is that the influence you have. And also, you being agile, you have to change with the environment. You can't say, back in my day, or I'm old school. You have to be able to adapt as a leader, right? Because technology change, people change, and you cannot change with that as a leader. You're gonna get left behind in your leadership.
Yeah, one of the conversations I was having with the incoming 48th commander is Allo Vass. I don't know if you know him. And he said, if there's one thing before I become a brigade commander, what should I be? And I said, humility.
Yes.
You have to understand you serve those soldiers. They don't serve you.
Yes.
And talk to me a little bit about what you think about humility.
People think education is learning new things. I said, no, it's discovering things that you don't know. In order for you to learn things, you have to have humility to have the need to learn. If you think you know it all, you'll never learn anything else. And that's what humility is to me, that knowing that I have the ability to learn, but I need to continue to learn. No, if I have 8 PhDs, I still said I need to learn more things. And I could learn more from that janitor than somebody that, a nuclear scientist. So that's who humility is to me,
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Yes.
that description.
Yes.
One of the things I always
Yes.
remind my children is there's another word that matches humility to me is grateful. You have to be
Yes.
grateful for what you got, where you are in life, but you have to be humble enough to realize that you don't compare yourself to other people. You
No.
just accept what God's given to you and you do your best all the time.
Yes.
So, talk to me right now. What are you really passionate about and why?
What I'm really passionate about, Donna, is really helping people, right? And I tell my managers in the corporate world that you never stop serving, right? Because there's different ways you can serve. So I'm a passionate about serving. If I can give my knowledge to someone else, I think that make me have a better day. Now, even I'm putting my arms around senior NCOs now, sergeant majors that's finna get out the military, and I'm grabbing them 2 years out, 1 year out to try to carry their path, to when they get out. So I'm really passionate about that, but I'm still passionate about just pouring my experiences to the young person that's just hitting the corporate environment. It can be daunting to them, right? I mean, just take Amazon. We got 1.3 million employees. Uh, I'm getting a new manager now, and my new manager he is in India.
Whoa.
Yes, and I'm managing people in Costa Rica, in the United States. I know I'm still teaching people, but I'm passionate about learning also, because I can pretty sure I can learn from those different cultures, those different management styles, the different ways of just looking at things.
Yeah, that open mind, that's one of the
Yes,
things I
yes,
always admired about you
yes,
from when we first
yes,
met. You
yes,
were always open to new experiences, new ideas to help solve problems. So
yes.
I appreciate that about you, man. Well done.
My HR is disability HR. So somebody go out on leave of absence. So now I'm overseeing the USERA program that governs military leaves and make sure they had the job protection and don't get discriminated on the job when they had to go out do military duties. That's part of my area I oversee. And what's amazing, who got the heavy lifting is Costa Rica. They people handle that military leaves, and they don't even have a military in Costa Rica. So they had to understand our labor laws, talk to that military members, that National Guard that had to go out on a short deployment, and they handle that military leave program, and they don't have a military themselves.
That's amazing. I'll share something with you. When I talk about impactful events, for me, of course, the birth of our three children, without a doubt. The fact that I had a complete stranger, R.C. Burnell, was my battalion command sergeant major, then the brigade sergeant major. He took interest in me and mentored me and became lifelong friends. Those are impactful events. The fact that you were my oldest boy's first leader, that's an impactful event to me as a dad. I had to distance myself because I wanted to be professional, but I was very interested in everything you said to him and everything he said to you. So I remember one time he called to the house and I was outside cutting the grass. And Karen brought the phone to me and just stopped me on the lawnmower and said, "Listen to this." And I'm like, okay, hello. And it was Donnie telling me his experience with his platoon sergeant. And I was like, okay. Were you wrong? Yes, I was. Okay. Did he help you get right? Yes, he did. So that's a good learning experience. I'm good. Man, as soon as I turned around, there was this red-faced, angry woman. He can't talk to my boy like that.
And it was out of love,
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it was out of love. Yeah.
See, I think people misinterpret it when you put a distinct interest in their well-being and their personal growth and development. They think you're being mean to them. No, you're showing them love. And I showed a lot of love in my time.
Yes, you did.
I had the prettiest painted parking lot on Fort Hood because there was a lot of love out there being done extra duty. So let's talk about your impactful events.
I think if you go from the military, my most impactful event is that when I got promoted to sergeant in field artillery, I was on the gun line, I was running at the embassy room, and also they had me in the training room. And And to go from actually a doer to a supervisor, that was very impactful to me. And it just showed me that I didn't really know what I didn't know, Donnie. And I think from that point on that I have to, get a little better each and every day because, you know, in the corporate world, I can reverse a lot of mistakes. I can, if I make a mistake and terminate an employee, I can reverse that termination, right? It might impact the income for a short period, but if I make a mistake in the military, those people lives.
Yep.
I can reverse that. So that impact and that weight of that rank at that time, that was one of the most impactful things in my military career.
Yeah. I will tell you, speaking just military,
Yeah.
being a very young first sergeant, I had like 13 years in the Army and I was a first sergeant, and it was the first soldier that died on my watch.
Yes.
And I remember making the phone call to his family. He was the only child, and talking to his mom and his dad. And it was heartbreaking because the kid committed suicide in our barracks. And I felt like I let him down. So I was determined that every time we had those Friday talks to the formation, that I would look every soldier in their eye to tell them, hey, you're better than this. We need you to be part of this team. And I did that for the rest of my career. I even do it now. I mean, when I'm out and about, and I remind those defenders of our nation that you're worth a lot alive. Don't contemplate the opposite, because that's finality. That you don't come back from that.
Yes.
Only one person in the history of the world came back from death, and that was Jesus Christ. And you're not him.
Yeah.
I promise you. Talk to me about the most influential people throughout your life.
I think I'm looking at one of the most influenced person in my life, which is you, Donnie, because when I was getting ready to get the military, I was going back and forth because, I wanted to make CSM, right? And I just realized that there's other ways you can be successful without making CSM. And I remember I was like, really on the edge if I want to retire. And you flew to Fort Bragg. You might not remember this conversation. I said, hey, Sergeant Major Moten, I'm thinking about retiring. And I still remember what you said. You said, hey, there's always life outside the military.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, those are simple words, but those words carried me a long way. So I always look at people as influencers. I tell people in the corporate world, get somebody that you can tag on to that will tell you the truth.
Yep. And
have that person be your influence. So if I had to pick one influence, it was the person I'm looking at on this computer screen.
Oh, I'm very, very humbled by your kind words.
Yeah.
But I do remember that conversation. But do you also remember what I said along with that? You have the skill sets to be successful anywhere you go.
I think the best experience in my life is kind of when I got married, right? Because I got married kind of late in my military career, and I had 2 daughters, and my wife brought in 2 sons and a daughter. And now it's like we are one big happy family. We don't use the word step, and anything that we do is father, son, mother, daughter, and that really opened my eyes that it don't matter if you gave birth to them, and all of them successful. So I went from 2 kids to 5 kids. They are all grown, most of them in college. My son that came to our marriage, he's go to Houston Baptist on the D1 scholarship, and to actually travel there and to see him play basketball, those are highlights of my life. To come from, a single parent to a blended family, and just to make it work.
Sounds like you're having a great time doing it too.
Yes.
I'll just tell you, in my life, God is the guiding light and force for me. He taught me through humility and through some setbacks that I had to reprioritize what's important in my life, not just my family, but my outreach and focusing on helping others. And these last 10 years, I'm happy to report to you, that's been my focus. So let's talk about your foundation.
I am a theologian. I do have a Bachelor of Science in Theology from Liberty University. So, uh, that was my foundation also. And I tell anybody, have faith in something.
That's right.
I'm not saying have faith in my God or anybody else's God. Have faith in something, right? That you can use it as a foundation. And also, I think another foundation is that, and I always tell people, right, that sometimes the worst thing that ever happened to you never really happened, only happened in your mind.
Hmm.
And so have a level mindset as a foundation also. If somebody says something out the way to you, not that you made me mad, why did I allow that person to make me mad? Or why did I allow myself to get mad? I don't put the onus on somebody else how you react to things. So I use those things as a foundation. My faith, and also that what I can give back to people, that's what drives me. As soon as I moved out here to Arizona, 6 months later I lost my mother. I'm the only child from my mother, right? So I had to partly eulogize her.
Wow.
Then my wife's mother moved with us out here and living with us. We lost her 5 years ago. My wife was the only child. So I had to do her eulogy. And to do a mother-in-law eulogy that lived with you is hard, but I still use my foundation to get me through that because I know how to get my wife through that, also. So I have a lot of things that I grab onto, as a foundation. I don't think people use that foundation word loosely, but it's something to keep you grounded, to keep you level, to keep you from tilting over, like a house. So if we use that word like it should be used in the dictionary, I think that foundation is a great word, and to use something that keep you grounded and level. And I think a lot of people will succeed if they look at that mindset.
Oh, you're spot on. I
Yeah.
know that Karen and I had
Yeah.
the privilege of meeting your mother-in-law,
Yeah.
and we had breakfast together.
Yes.
The news took us very,
Yes.
very hard, but we are all people of faith, and we support you. And she was so cool. Never met me before,
Yes.
but she thought I was her son. I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Hey, one of the things that I learned when I was a 12-year-old boy, I lived down the street from a Baptist church. Uh, Jamal Wilkes' dad was the pastor of that
Yeah.
church, and I used to go and clean up afterwards. And he said, son, you're going to learn a heck of a lot more if you come to the service as opposed to waiting till it's over and just getting a few dollars to clean up. And that changed my life, is because I found that no matter how difficult the times you face, you never face them alone if you got
No.
God.
Yes.
And you're right. As long as you believe in something bigger than yourself. That's my
Yes.
grandpa used to always tell me. He goes, hey boy, it ain't just you.
Yeah.
There's something bigger than you making this world go. And so no, those foundations important. I mean, I am grateful to God for the life that Karen and I are able to share. Another really impactful event was getting ready to retire from the Army.
Yeah. Oh, yes. When I decided to retire, I probably had 10 months left in the military when my retirement package got approved, and I was still the first sergeant. So I gave up the seat in June, but I went on transition leave in probably about September. As a matter of fact, it was September 11th. That when I went on my transition leave with a December 31st end date. So that was a fast moving train, right? So, and it was rocket. I would tell you. That's why I like to mentor people now, right? But even when I thought I was prepared, it was still rocket. I had a master's degree. Man, I was a senior enlisted advisor. Man, people going to be just opening doors for me, right? I can throw a resume out there. It's going to stick. I'm telling myself what job offer I'm going to take. Donnie, I had 300 no's.
Wow.
I submitted 300 resumes and was told no each and every time. With those no, did to me, and I'm not as an expert resume writer.
Oh, good. Good. You saw positive in it.
You just got to keep tweaking my resume. Now I can take somebody to ERB, the NCRs, and look at it and write them an official resume for the corporate environment. Because those 300 no's, I had to humble myself, right? The first thing I tell senior leaders that get out the military is humble yourself. As a senior NCO, command sergeant major, first sergeant, you walk down that hall, the Red Sea parts for you. Soldiers move out your way. It's not like that in the civilian world. You want millions of people, right? They love the military, but they want to see, can you solve their problems? And what I did to prepare myself is not that I don't want to say hire me because I'm a vet, right? I said hire me because I'm the best at what I do and I can make your company better. And I learned these skills as being a vet, and we always say the military is not who we are and what we did.
Yes.
And I said I use that mindset as I transition out the military and say, what problem can I solve for a company? And people always pay you to solve their problems. I told my wife, I said, hey, honey, I know you want to come out west because I retired at Fort Bragg. I said, they got one HR position in Arizona. It's in the correctional health services. Do you HR for all the healthcare in the jails, like 5 jails here done it. I said, just let me submit that resume, one resume in the Arizona area. I submitted it. 2 days later, they called, want to interview. They interviewed me. The next day, they want me to come to Arizona to have this job.
Nice.
And since it was for the county, they gave me multiple positions. I was like the employment law for leave of absence. I was the HR business partner, kind of like the senior list advisor to, look at the discipline, make sure they doing everything they're supposed to do right. And then I was the diversity coordinator. So I had like 3 positions in one, but it was overwhelming because I had an office on the 5th floor overlooking the streets and stuff like that. So that was my transition from the military. It probably took me about 300 no's and probably 3 months to land a job that get me to the door.
Tenacity, perseverance. Yes. But you know what you did? You had confidence in yourself.
Yes.
That's you saw the positive and the negative. That's terrific. So you're a Mississippi guy retiring out of North Carolina and you end up in Arizona.
Arizona, right? When I do mentorship, Donnie, I said, hey, if you want a job at this location, don't worry about the location, worry about the job. Because what do you do in your everyday life that you need that location? You need to go to Walmart. There's Walmarts everywhere. You got the grocery store, because you can always get back to a certain location. But the job is not always going to be there.
No.
And so I took the job versus location. I'm not on the side of a mountain. I'm at a prominent, one of the 5th or 6th largest city in the United States, right? And so that I ended up here. Right now, I can work anywhere I want to in the United States. I work virtual. I can go back to Mississippi, but I'm grounded here now.
Well, you said something to us. Remember we had that breakfast a few years ago when Kieran and I went to the Frisco game, and you said, there's something about this place. I remember you saying that to me. I told her when we were driving away, it's going to be tough getting them out of there.
Yes.
So let me just pick your brain for a minute. The best attributes that you need to have when you make the transition out of the Army or out of the military, what would some of those be?
So if I had to give a soft attribute, that's being humble and open and also agile. In those, sometimes those are contradictory terms. You gotta be agile and also focus, because people don't realize that we hire for a need. We hire for somebody to solve a problem. And when if I ask, hey Donna, when you retire from the military, what you want to do? I'm open to anything. You're not hireable, Donnie. Nope. Because we don't open requisitions in the corporate world for anything. We open it for a specific job that you going for. Now you can be focused on that job and then focus on another job, but you still can't get away that focus. Your transition can't be a shotgun blast. It got to be a rifle bullet, and you shoot different targets, but you got to be focused on that one target at that time. And that's what got me into HR. Because I was like, I don't know what I want to do when I get out. So I want to be in operations. Be an operation manager. And then after I read the job description, I said, wait, this HR stuff is what I did in the military. I already had the skills. Let me put this on paper. And this would have landed me now.
So the senior HR guy for the Department of Forestry is a 74 Delta, Sergeant First Class, who retired before we did. He retired, I think, in 04, 05, but now he's a GS-15 and the head guy for the forestry. And he said exactly what you said. He goes, he couldn't stop calling me Sergeant Major. So he just said, hey, Sergeant Major, it's the same stuff I did as a platoon sergeant.
Yes.
And I was like, more power to you, man. Go for it. Who would have thought the forestry, but every organization needs HR.
Yes.
Where do you see Brian Poole 5-10 years from now?
I really, when you said Brian have a plan, right? I think at my life now, right? I don't really know Donnie. And that's not me not planning, right? Because I'm still grappling where I'm at today, right? If somebody said that, you're making a difference in a Fortune 500 company, I'm still got the wow factor. So 5 years, I could be totally retired, or I could be still working in a higher capacity I am now, and just giving back, right? And I don't want to not credit to say to somebody, but somebody did tell me years ago that said, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And I want to be at that level, even though I get up and go to work. Is it really working?
In your mind, that you're making a difference. How is that measurable to you?
I'm in a special field of HR, right? I'm in the disability leave of absence HR, right? And if somebody that gets sick from their job and they don't have to worry about losing their job because they got a serious health condition, that is success, and that I'm giving back to somebody, even not knowing that I'm giving it back to them, right? If that military serviceman, that guardsman had to get deployed to fight fires, that, I have his back, that he coming back in the same or equal position that when he left, and then we have a program that we will give you differential pay. If you making more with Amazon than you is in the military, we'll make up the difference. I don't have to have a thank you or Brian, you made a difference, and no, I made a difference. Because sometimes making a difference is not having a problem. As long as there's no problems, I know I'm making a difference.
When I went to Northwest Christian College as a young freshman, I met the president, and he was also ordained minister. And he said, you know how you make a difference? And I said, no, sir. He goes, don't try. Just be the difference. And those words stay in my mind the rest of my life, from a 19-year-old boy till 63. And I hear that in you. And so I really appreciate that. Here's one thing I want you to do for me. You're laying on a beach, anywhere you name it. It's late at night on a cool summer night, and you're looking up at the stars. What do you think about your future? What do you think about your life? What are the thoughts that you have?
So number one is health and just taking care of my body, right? And then after that, just being in the best state of mind that I can. Because, as you get older, you realize that people rely on you, and you didn't realize that at a younger age, right? The kids gravitate to me. I have my daughter, they don't make decisions like, hey, Pop, hey, Daddy, what do you think about this? My sons that I got coming to the marriage, they grown. I'm thinking about buying a house. What do you think? So if in 5 years from now, I still want to be that positive influence, and don't have to always have to be career based,
Mhm.
that if I'm doing what I was supposed to do on my job right now, great things are still going to happen to or happen for me.
Hey, Brian, I just want to tell you that
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure spending time with you.
yeah,
You're you're a heart of gold, and I always thought you were not just a man of God, but a reflection of God's love to to
yeah.
all of us, not just American, because you're international. Well, he's an
Yes.
international man.